Hello dear viewers, and welcome back to the ancient dwarven hold of our ancestors. Today we'll be talking about the game Fluffy Sailors. Fluffy Sailors is an action roguelike naval combat game developed and published by Skuldery Games. It was released in March 2025. Before we get started, dear viewers, if you like what I do down here in the ancient hold, then perhaps consider subscribing to the channel, giving this video a thumbs up, and maybe leaving your thoughts below on the game. Every little bit of support you can show my little channel is greatly appreciated. So, Fluffy Sailors. This is a game I saw advertised literally on the day it was released. I'd just come off playing V-Rising for 80 plus hours and wasn't looking for anything too heavy to play next. I wanted something light, fluffy you might say. In Fluffy Sailors, you take on the role of a subject of the Mouse Queen on a mission to free her cook from the hands of the evil alligators. You will fight your way through various enemies, firing your cannons and ramming into them as you strive to get to the end of the game and rescue the chef. Do not be swayed by the colourful nature of this here title. There is a solid game to be played here. The graphical style for this game is one of bright colour and a certain level of cuteness. The water is clear blue, the waves are slowly swaying, and the sun is shining high in the sky. The effect they're going for here is very much that warmth and welcome embrace. The setting is a bright Caribbean-style tropical area, pocketed with numerous islands and inlets, featuring ports and lighthouses and settlements of little animals. The beaming colours give off a vibrant and light kind of vibe that can be very inviting. The ships, of which you'll be focusing on most often, are, like the surroundings, quite warm and cute looking. There are several different races of fluffy pirates in this world, from mice of course, to rats, cats, raccoons, badgers, alligators and more, and they are mostly all fluffy. Each race has their own ship, which looks the part and does perhaps seem quite what you might expect from them. You can tell the different ships apart from one another fairly easily, which says a lot of their unique designs. The starter ship is a simple little mouse boat, while the hamsters have a hamster ball-like ship. The raccoons have what resembles a big wooden barrel with large cannon either side, and the alligators have ships in their own visage, which go chompy chomp. They are all seemingly lovingly designed with a lot of thought put into them. The sound of Fluffy Sailors is well designed too. The ships moving about the sea, cannons firing, the thud of contact when you ram into another ship all sound good. There isn't a lot of dialogue in this game, with some enemies shouting a few words at you, but most of the talk is happening between yourself and the Mouse Queen, between runs, and all of that is in text form. There is some squeaking going on of course, but I'm not sure you could really voice the dialogue between two fluffy mice anyway. The background music is pleasant enough as well. You begin the game as a simple mouse, a subject of the Queen of Mice. Her favourite chef has been kidnapped by thieving alligators, and it is your quest to free them so you can all have a nice bit of grub. These are heavy stakes I know, but I think we can handle it. Once you've been addressed by Her Highness, you must set forth in your little ship on your voyage to rescue the good cook. The aim of the game here is to get through all the different levels or maps, ending with 3 specific set maps, before finally getting back the mouse that you've been tasked with finding. Each level or map is a seemingly randomised section of sea, featuring some islands and enemies for which you can fight. You will need to defeat all enemy ships on the map before you can progress to the next one, moving closer to each end objective. To defeat the other ships, you must make use of your cannons. Like you might imagine from a naval combat game, this involves lining up your ship with the enemy and blasting away at them. This is where the game shows its worth, as not just a fun and cuddly thing, but as a competent naval combat game. You will need to outmaneuver enemy ships, avoiding their gunfire and attacks before trying to set up some good broadside action. It feels good to fire your cannons, and they fire cleanly, giving good feedback and moving through the air as you would expect, which means you can gauge shots well as you attempt to land all your hits on the enemy ship. I should mention that instead of cannonballs, your guns fire actual crew members. Yes, you'll be firing mice and cats and raccoons rather than the old-fashioned cannonballs. I guess this makes the game feel a bit more cuddly, and they are essentially the same thing and act the same way as traditional shots, albeit with some funny sounds as you fire them. The only real difference is the fact that with a certain perk, your shots of fluffy creatures, when they miss and land in the sea, are capable of being picked up by you and then used once again from your cannons. So this adds a little extra note of play as you move around trying to pick up and restock your weapons. To help with all the moving and fighting and stuff, you have a dash, which you can use to move out of danger rather quickly, getting out of the way of enemy fire. Besides this though, you can use your dash to actually ram into opposing ships, which can cause a lot of damage, especially if you put points into it. I think it would have been quite interesting if you could shoot your crew at a ship and perhaps have them land on that ship and battle the opposing sailors. Perhaps different shot type could have been interesting too, but really the different ships you can play have fairly unique cannon which can fill that niche. The playstyle of different races' ships can be quite different. If you're sailing a catamaran, for instance, the cannons are not on the sides but are actually at the front and rear of the ship. This means you'll need to try and get ships on your front or rear arcs rather than at your sides. The Badger Galleon, on the other hand, has great broadsides which you need to align your side of the ships to make great use of. I think perhaps if they were going for a more involved and technical game, they could lean into those differences and really differentiate the ships further. But as it stands, I don't think the devs wanted to go that way. Instead of creating a really technical combat system with a high skill ceiling, they've gone for a good fun, arcadey style of play, which focuses more on the action than trying to go all in with deep complicated systems and such. And I think it has come off very well. As I've been mentioning the different ships a few times now, I should mention that when you defeat an enemy ship, there is a chance that it will not sink to the bottom of the sea, which looks cool as it does, but instead be captured by your good self and added to your fleet. At the start of every new level, you're able to select between the ships that you currently have in your fleet. So besides essentially providing you with extra lives, as you must go through all the ships in your fleet for the game to be over, you can change up the sort of ship that you want to use, which adds a depth of play and shakes things up a bit. In the game, there are 3 different buildings that you can interact with: a lighthouse, a dock, and a tavern-like sort of thing. You can hire more crew at a lighthouse, repair your ship at a dock, and lastly buy an upgrade for your ship from the tavern. You will earn gold as you defeat ships, and this is spent on repairing and getting more crew. If you've saved enough and you can find one you like, you can get an item for your single slot on your ship. These vary in power and cost and can have some quite dramatic effects on the ship it is placed in. This adds an extra layer of customization as well as offering a way to give yourself a bit of an edge. If you fail to make it all the way to the end of the game and reclaim the venerable chef, you will come back to the Queen. All ships and any items that you might have are gone, and you must start again from the beginning. This is pretty standard stuff for any roguelike game, of course. What you can do though is spend skill points on perks. Skill points are earned as you defeat enemies and clear levels on your mission. After each run, you can spend those points on talents you have unlocked. For the first time you clear an end boss encounter, you unlock the next tier of perks, eventually providing you with 3 levels of them. The perks are permanent, which means they will persist between runs, essentially making you stronger each round, giving you a bit more of a chance each time you play. Having some progression that lingers between runs is good, I feel. It means that every bit more that you get through the game, you'll be able to power yourself up just a little bit more and have a greater chance of getting through in the next one. It can be a bit of a bummer to get quite far, lose, and then have to get through the earlier stages once again to get back to where you were before, so having persistent progression is always good. So what do I think about the game overall? Well, I think Ferry Sailors is a deceptively solid and fun naval combat game and roguelike. This isn't some solely fun, cuddly endeavour that is meant to only entertain for a few hours with colour alone. No, there is a decent game here with engaging play and progression that rewards players' time and effort. The game is short and sweet. I don't think you're going to be putting dozens of hours into this, although there is an endless mode recently added which will provide more content, but I think that is fine. I was looking for something that wasn't too heavy and was simply a good bit of fun for a good price. Fluffy Sailors caters to both. You can get through the main campaign in about 6 to 7 hours, with more time involved if you want to try the endless mode. It is a game you could get through over a weekend and sincerely have fun with it before putting it down. It isn't going to sate your gaming desires for tens of hours or anything, but you'll have some good fun. Short and sweet games definitely have a place in my gaming library, that is for sure. I imagine if the developers had more resources, and wanted to of course, they seem quite capable of designing an even deeper experience. It will be interesting to see what they come up with next. As of this video, the game has a launch sale of 25% off, which is £8.24 in the UK, which is cheap and cheerful. I would certainly recommend it for anyone that's looking for a lighter mood and enjoys naval combat and roguelike gaming. And there we go, dear viewers, another day, another video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time.